My tour started in Portugal. I played at a festival called the Boom Festival, and it went through Holland. I played at a big festival in Holland called the ADM Festival. Then it went through to London. I played in Camden in London. Then I played in Leipzig, Germany, and another big festival called the Zorro Fest. And I played in France as well. And I also played a free show in Palestine, doing a free concert for refugees. And so it was a very dynamic show, playing from, official festivals to refugee camps. So it was very dynamic.
I wasn't prepared for, the Palestine gig. So where was it, and how did you get there?
The Palestine gig was about 3 weeks ago, and essentially it was fantastic. I was invited to play invited by some Israeli activists and also by a young Palestinian rap group called Palestinian Streets and another rap group called Boycott. And so we decided to join forces, and we did a concert in a place called Dahisha Camp, which is near Bethlehem. We hired a sound system and a truck, and we got 2 local bands and ourselves. And I played a free show, Monkey Mark, and I also played a show with my band Combat Wombat. It was a very amazing experience.
You were not only playing gigs around Europe, but you were also, creating connections with European artists. Can you tell us something about new projects or collaborations?
There's about 3 or 4 projects happening in Europe at the moment. One is a remix project with a French artist called DJ Click. The other was a split release with a band called Cop on Fire out of Belgium. And the other is recording a project with an artist by the name of Roots Maneuver in the UK and another artist by the name of Jimmy Screech.
Roots Maneuver, he's sort of a legend, not only in the UK, but he made it in the US as well. What do you think you can add to his style and stuff like that? Are you trying to follow him, or you're trying to give him something new? Let's say an Australian flavor.
Yeah, I guess it's funny, what's this, a Welsh Australian white boy got to offer, a sort of a black English / Jamaican hip hop star. So I guess, I've got my own angle to offer him. And one idea really is to try and link him up with another rapper called Charlie Tuna and, focus him more on, something new, so it's going to be a hip hop based project, but it's also going to be something a little bit different, like more of a project where it's not just him, a project where he meets other rappers and potentially does something that he might not have done before. So it is a little different, and I hope I've got something to offer. We may well be getting an EP out, or potentially, if all goes well, an album. So yeah, we're not too sure how it's going to come out yet, whether it's going to come out with a label called Big Data, or if it's going to be an independent release. It just all depends on, the bureaucrats and what they want out of it. So, which is the unfortunate part of the record industry.
Absolutely. It's not only, the final outcome, what's, relevant, but the way you get there. And talking about, the way you get to do your stuff, I find very exciting and actually absolutely fascinating the way you produce your music, and I'm talking about your production recording studio in Melbourne. Can you just tell us something about it?
Yeah, unlike most recording studios, I bought myself an old shipping container, and I built a recording studio inside the shipping container. Now, not only that, everything inside the shipping container I bought was, second hand. So I bought an old basketball court floor, and then I built a solar powered trailer next to it as well. So the entire studio is, 1, it's mobile, and 2, it's powered by solar. So everything I record, all my projects, say for example the project with Roots Maneuver, or some of the new remixes I'm doing, or my own recently released album, As the Market Crashed, the Monkey Mark album, it was all recorded on solar power. There's not much like it in Australia. In fact, there's probably not much like it in the world. And it seems to work really well. And to my ears, I think that music powered by the sun actually sounds a bit better as well.
This is not the first solar power device, let's say, that you build. You've been doing something like that on a smaller scale, probably in remote communities of Australia.
That's right. Yeah. Actually, my history sort of goes back to the mid to late 90s, when I used to run a big solar powered sound system called Labrat Solar Powered Sound System. sort of party political sound system with a caravan, which used to have solar panels and a big wind generator on it. That was the initial Lab Rats sound system, which then turned into a mobile studio. And because me and my friends would be travelling around the desert, we started linking in with Aboriginal communities, and so hence we started doing workshops and visual recordings and so video stuff and audio workshops and hip hop workshops and reggae music writing workshops in Aboriginal communities. So it really sort of it's really sort of developed along the way. So these days, I spend possibly 7 months or so in Melbourne in my solar powered studio, and I probably spend about 5 months out in the desert doing workshops in Aboriginal communities. For an Italian audience, I guess it's probably important to explain that in the centre of Australia we have Aboriginal tribes, some of which didn't even know that westernisation or white civilization was even in Australia or even present in the world until, the 1970s and 1980s. So we have, some of the last tribes to be discovered actually living in the middle of Australia. So we have a situation where a lot of culture, very rich culture, is being held within these old people, these grandparents, so to speak, these 60-year-old, 70-year-old people. But for me, the sad thing that's happening is Australia doesn't show too much interest. I said mainstream Australia doesn't seem to show too much interest in its own Indigenous culture. So part of the reason why I go out there is to, one, try and document some of these stories, and two, to try and engage the old people and the young people to try and bridge the gap so that I can get these young people to start singing about, the stories of their elders or talking about the stories of their elders, by using the topics, these ancient stories or these tribal songs, but modernizing them in a sort of a sense as to now putting them into hip hop songs or reggae songs, but to somehow, transcribe the stories from old to young. So it's very much a cultural preservation thing. That's the way it's really evolved for me. It's not just about music. It's not just about having fun or entertainment. It's actually about keeping Aboriginal culture alive and well, and promoting Aboriginal culture into the wider community as well.